The opinions expressed are those of the program host and guest and are not those of WSTU. WSTU does not endorse products that may be mentioned. Any reproduction or retransmission of this broadcast is strictly prohibited without written consent of WSTU. The phone lines are open. Call in with your questions and comments at 220-9788. That's 220-WSTU. It's time for Stewart Laser Talk with your host, Dr. Tred J. Rizacker.
I'm 5'10" and 242 pounds.
I always say this is the biggest I'm ever going to be, and I said that like 20 pounds ago.
A third of Americans are obese, another third is overweight.
Obesity is the biggest threat to the health, welfare, and future of this country.
I've always been overweight.
I've got diabetes.
Sleep apnea, heart disease.
Everything's hurting now.
It's a lot easier to lose weight than it is to keep weight off.
This is probably going to be the first generation of children who are going to have a shorter life expectancy than their parents.
18% of our children right now are obese.
It's not only health, it's about survival and well-being of the United States as a nation.
You don't crave broccoli, and our generation has grown up craving a Big Mac.
I want to think that there's something better for me.
Unless we're able to control this epidemic, we're going to have an abundance of chronic disease.
All of us have to be part of the solution to reduce obesity.
The weight of the nation is out of control, but we can fix that.
If we don't now take this as a really urgent national priority, we are all going to pay a really serious price. Obesity will crush the United States in oblivion.
Hey. Welcome to the Slim Body Laser Spa's Health and Wellness Show. My name is Dr. Tred Rizacker, and I am a licensed doctor of chiropractic right here in the state of Florida and in the great state of New York. Been in practice for 33 years, and my dad was a chiropractor before me. I have two younger sisters and an older brother, all of which practice chiropractic right here in Stewart. So we are a health and wellness extravaganza bonanza. If you're looking for a safe, sane approach to regaining your health or getting over that stiff neck or that back pain or the radiation into your legs or your body fat that's gone over the top and it's affecting your health and your happiness in your life, you got to give us a call. My office is located on East Ocean Boulevard, right across from the Fresh Market. Next to the Carmela's Pizza, used to be the Haagen-Dazs, and I am doing laser-assisted weight loss, whole body vibration, gentle, safe detoxification is part of the weight loss process, nutritional consultation, and trying to get people to make better choices when it comes to food and exercise and sunlight and water. These really basic foundations of health are what I'm going to go over today. The there's six basic foundations of health. And if you're in need of a good chiropractor, somebody to push your sacroiliac back into place, if you strained your back and you popped your vertebra out and you're suffering and you don't want to wait for it to become a surgical problem, which is what happens with most people that hurt their backs. They barely injure it and then they wait a couple of years, ineffective therapies and taking medications, and then they end up in surgery. So we're trying to stop that. A good, safe, basic chiropractic exam is, a pound of prevention is worth, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And it definitely goes that way when it comes to health choices. I'll just plug my office here and then I'll get on with the show. I'm using a laser, an FDA cleared aesthetic laser called a Lapex BCS for body contouring system. It's a class 3B laser, so you can't own it unless you're a doctor, and you sure can't provide it unless you're a doctor. And what happens is you can put these laser paddles anywhere on your body where you have a accumulation of subcutaneous fat that's on the outside of the body, stuff you can squeeze and gush, under your chin, your arms, around your midsection, maybe your love handles, muffin tops, thighs, saddlebag, anywhere you have this accumulation of outside fat. And in a series of 9 sessions in 3 weeks, eating a little better, trying to move somewhat, trying to stay away from high sugar content drinks and foods, including alcohol, and you can change your body composition. You can lose fat faster than anything that you've ever experienced. I've been doing it now for 11 years. We've had somewhere around 6,000 clients have been through the office there, right there on East Ocean Boulevard. We've lost thousands and thousands of pounds, probably several tons of unwanted fat, and you know, literally a mile of waist circumference has come down. You know, we're averaging 6 to 9 inches in 3 weeks, literally lying on your back listening to music, and I can prove it. The office is called Slim Body Laser Spa, and the phone number is 772-223-5885. If you'd like a free consultation and an evaluation, there is no obligation to become a client. The reason why we offer a free consultation is that our process is very unique, and you probably have never seen it, heard it. If you ask other people what their experience was, unless they've been to our spa, you really are not going to get a clear answer as to what we do. This is something that a lot of plastic surgeons, aesthetic centers have these machines. But what I've done as a chiropractor is I have taken this outside fat blasting machine and combined it with nutrition, weight loss, whole body vibration, and detoxification, and then accountability. Having you have somebody to somebody to watch you and make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do. And in 3 weeks, we're making incredible transformative changes in people's body fat percentages, how they feel about themselves, how they look. The 3 weeks is long enough. I remember my mom told me many years ago that if you want to grab a husband, a wife, or she warned me that a man just has to spend like 3 weeks with her. And they get into a habit, and next thing you know, it's 3 months, 3 years, and 30 years. So I go in the world of threes. And in 3 weeks, coming into the spa and allowing us to work with your ideas and your decisions and make some better choices with common sense that makes sense to you, not something you have to buy, something you always have to do. You can make some huge changes in your physical, how you look, how you feel, your energy levels, and you're given a plan. You're given a program that you can complete on your own. You don't have to come into the spa to complete it once you get through this first process. A lot of people choose to stay with us because it's easier for them, and they like coming in because it's an enjoyable experience. No one's ever died at the Slim Body Laser Spa or had been hurt or had any kind of burns or injuries. It's very, very safe. I did it myself. I lost 10 inches of belly fat in only 9 sessions in 3 weeks. That was 7 years ago. I was overweight and I had type 2 diabetes, and I still have type 2 diabetes, but at least it's manageable. And I was 265 pounds and I was 6 foot tall, and that was 7 years ago. My average weight when I was in high school and in my early 20s, I used to be 140, maybe 160 pounds if I really beefed up. And to all of a sudden go to, 180, 200, and then up to 265, that's a lot of weight. That's like 50 pounds of fat you're carrying around. A 5-gallon jug that you would buy at the store to fill up the water cooler weighs, I think, 48 pounds, right? 48 pounds. Those things are heavy. You got to use a cart to get it out to the car. You think you can carry one of those big water jugs from the Publix out to your car? Yet 40 or 50% of you that are listening to this are carrying 40 pounds of extra body fat everywhere you go. Okay. And you wonder why you're tired. You wonder why your ankles hurt. You wonder why when you sit for too long, you get up and you can't straighten up. You wonder why you're having to urinate all the time. You wonder why you're full of, life just isn't quite as pleasant as it used to be. So you start blaming things. You start blaming situations for this lack of energy, for these sore and painful joints. And all of a sudden, you're having breathing difficulties, and you're susceptible to colds and flus and viruses and protozoas and worms and funguses. You become susceptible to these things. These all occur because of carrying 30, 40 pounds of body fat for, more than a summer. It's okay to put on weight. God created us to put on weight so we could get through the winter, so we could bulk up, so we didn't die during starvation, used to call the winter. We were never designed to carry the weight through the winter and then the next winter and then the next winter. And that is a fact. And medicine knows this, and there are a lot of doctors that try to stop this and to educate on this. But there's another side to medicine, the pharmaceutical industry and the sickness industry, the rehabs and the hospitals and all of the drug treatments and the over-the-counter supplies and that benefit greatly from you being sick. And they don't want you to be sick, but if they really wanted you to be healthy, I think they would make other choices for us and give us more choices. Our drug treatment would come with a promise to also counsel you on food and exercise and why it happened. It should be when you have a diagnosis, besides being treated for the symptoms, which is important because you made a mistake and you're sick and you need some drugs, you need some help. What are you going to do about it as a result of it? It was explained to me many years ago by a doctor who said that medicine should be used only temporarily until you find out, what the cause is, and then to work on getting off of the medicine by addressing the cause of your problem. So if you're put on high blood pressure medication because your pressure has been going up steadily, it's called hypertension, and the doctor prescribes something to lower your blood pressure, just as important as taking the medication is finding out why your pressure is elevated. What is going on? And I can tell you this, it's not from aging. Otherwise, everyone in that age would be on blood pressure, would have high blood pressure. It's common for people to be on blood pressure medication as they get older, but so's body fat is more common than anything. And so is lack of exercise. So is plaquing and hardening of the arteries, called arterial sclerosis plaque, and that raises pressure and causes medication to be prescribed. But most people stop right there. They don't really get to the cause. Some do, a lot do, more than ever, because I see them. I see them riding bicycles and running up and down the bridge. And I saw a couple just the other day. Maybe you're listening to the radio. They went up the Stewart Causeway, the one that goes out to the beaches. It was a double bicycle, one of those tandem bicycles. You sit front to back. And they definitely were well into their 60s. And they were very large people. I mean, you could see the size. And I watched them. They pumped up that bridge. And I went into Jensen Beach, did my errands, came back down East Ocean Boulevard, and I passed them all the way downtown on that bicycle. And I thought, man, they went all the way over those bridges, went to the ocean, came back and went over there. And I'll tell you, I can tell people that are healthy, and they were definitely, that was a heck of an exercise routine for them. And I give them, wow, I was thumbs up, man. God bless. But that is hard. And if you're looking for an easier cheat, a hack, they call it a biohack, give us a call at the Slim Body Laser Spa. I can do it quicker, faster, without having to tandem ride on our wonderful roadways and, dodging in and out of traffic. And, I think cycling on the street is a very dangerous thing because of, I know how some people drive, and I also know how much medications they're on, and that concerns the heck out of me. You're not going to win in a contact with a car on a bicycle. So, that's the message. Improve your health, get the body fat down, make some changes in your food intake, eat healthier, exercise more fresh water, cut out the sugars and the empty calories, the things which have no benefit in life, and boost your immune system and become resistant, become stronger internally to the pitfalls that are all around us. This COVID, the petroleum products, the high energy radiation from these cell phones and these cell phone towers and electrical system. They're all have been proven to create health issues. But people that are very, very healthy, that have great functioning immune systems, they exercise daily, they get enough sleep, they eat real food instead of processed food. These people avoid putting poisons in their body or on their body. They're not cigarette smokers. They limit their alcohol intake to what would be considered healthy. And they don't thrive on anger or emotional upsets all the time. They see life as a very beneficent. These people have a stronger ability to weigh down, to roll with the punches that are so common in our society today, and I want to be the resistant one. I want to be the one who doesn't get the colds, that doesn't get the problems, that body functions from birth to death. I want to be like a candle that just kind of goes out. I don't want to burn dim. Candles don't burn dim, do they? They just poof, they go out. We're all going to die, but I don't want to be sick and miserable up until that point, feeding the medical industry with my insurance. So, one of the things that I've been wanting to do is go over some tips and things I've been reading online about some health issues. So for this next half hour, we're going to go into just kind of a potpourri, an a la carte of different things that I've been reading and I've been putting together here. And one of my favorite areas I get this information from is from the Epoch Times, which is, I guess, the alternative paper than the New York Times and these other papers. Used to be a big Trump supporter, but in the back of the Epoch Times is a section called Mind and Body. And I've never seen anything in there that wasn't positive, that didn't bring up issues about health and wellness in a way that's very, very natural and holistic. So I'm just going to go over some of these topics, and I'm going to cover them very quickly just so you get an idea. But if you're interested in finding out more about these topics, you can go online to the Epoch Times, EPOCH, and in their website, you can click on Mind and Body, and all of these articles are listed there online. So the first one that I have here was in March of 2021, and it calls The Benefits of Red and Near Infrared Light Therapy. How about that? Now, that's what I do professionally. I'm looking for my glasses. They're attached to my shirt. So what they're saying is, I've been using red and near infrared light therapy at the laser spa to blast away and to melt away that extra body fat. Well, my beginnings with near infrared and red light began 11 years ago when a young chiropractor introduced the cold laser treatment to me. And he asked me, he was covering my office for a week. I was going away to mini season. Imagine that. Going to go down and catch some lobster in the Keys. And he says, what do I do when someone's in a lot of pain? Do you have any way of treating them? And I'm like, What do you mean treat them? We adjust. We could put ice on them, maybe some over the counter, some safe meds. If they're in a lot of pain, send them to the doctor. Get them pain relief. And he says, no, you don't have a laser for pain. And I looked at him and I said, what the heck, a laser? Why would I have a laser? I'm a chiropractor. And he says, no, these aren't cutting lasers. These aren't ablative lasers. These are therapeutic lasers. He says they are cold laser technology, and they're very safe to use. And he says that by shining it on a person's injury or painful area, you can reduce pain by 50%, reduce inflammation at the same time, and they also speed up the healing of the tissue. It's called biostimulation. And that got my attention because, I could turn up the heat out in the office and give a little warm, moist heat out there. And I could put ice on things, but, I have no way of speeding up the healing. I'm not God, My mom used to blow on my hand, and that helped. But this technology, to not make fun of it, is super, super beneficial. That when light strikes our body, and it's at the right power and the right wavelength, meaning the right color, light can create tissue healing. It can reduce pain. It can improve range of motion. It can heal nerve damage, for crying out loud. All right. Now, I've been doing this enough to tell you that it's the truth. So this is an article in Mind and Body about that our body creates an essential hormone from sunlight and we don't get enough. So this has to do with the vitamin D that everybody has been talking about. And what happens is red light. Now, when I say red light and near infrared, this is a natural sunlight that you get in the morning when you first get up in the morning and you sit outside and the sun's coming up and the sun is red and yellow spectrum. You can look almost at the sun because it's low in the horizon. It doesn't hurt you. And that is a super therapeutic dosage of sunlight. And as the sun goes overhead at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, it becomes very bright and it's a different type of light. It's a blue light. And as the sun starts to recede into the sunset, we go back to these red and yellow lights. And these are therapeutic doses, but you need vitamin D to carry that energy into the cell, and your body manufactures vitamin D, and it's really a hormone. It's not a vitamin. And through the action of cholesterol in your bloodstream and sunlight striking your body, that's what manufactures vitamin D. So the reason why we have so much vitamin D deficiency in humans is because we don't go out in the sun, we cover up our bodies, and we take medication to lower cholesterol, and we wonder why we're having a lack of vitamin D. So that's the first part about this article, that you need sunlight, and there's a mountain of literature showing that regular sun exposure is one of the most powerful and important things you can do for your health and to prevent disease. Simultaneously, we have a general public that is afraid of sunlight. Even the subject of melanoma is rife with misunderstanding because there is research showing mechanicalistically that if you expose cells to lots of UV light, you can absolutely induce DNA damage and you can create cancer formation, but you have to give it a lot of light. And so that's the first message. Get out into the sun. Please don't be scared of it. Of course, cover up. If you're if your skin is very fair, if you're from Ireland or something, or European, you got to limit it and make sure that you do it carefully and slowly, but realize that it's a good idea to get enough sunlight. So the next thing they went over is they said that we're using too much disinfectant. The risk of catching COVID-19 from surfaces isn't high enough to justify over cleaning. Now, what happens is, and I know this for many years, if you make an environment too sanitary, if you get crazy and wipe off all the microbes that could possibly cause you to get sick, you're also getting rid of a lot of good microbes. We live in a balance with microbes, these small materials that are on food and on plates and on things. We don't want to get rid of. We just want to make sure that you're healthy. So if you do encounter a bad microbe, your body is strong enough to fight it off. But to go crazy and to make things too sanitary, it actually creates immune system problems in people. So, taking your kid and using hand sanitizer, 17 times or 20 times a day is probably not a really healthy idea. Teaching good hand washing is a great idea. Going around your house and spraying Febreze or these types of disinfectants, Lysoling everything is really a toxin, and it's not good done too much. So we want to ease up on disinfectant, make sure we're keeping things clean, use soap, water, natural products instead of alcohols and things like chlorine. So that's really important to understand that. So the next one is chronic inflammation of the cardiovascular system can result in stress on the vessels. So there is a test you can run very easily at Quest Labs called a CRP test. Now, CRP is a blood test, and CRP is a protein used in healthy inflammation response. If it lingers in our blood, if you have high signs of CRP protein, it's a sign of chronic inflammation, which could be a predictor of heart disease. So maybe you've been recently diagnosed with high blood pressure, or you have a family history of heart disease. Maybe you're wondering what you can do about it and how to track improvements and manage your risk. So there's 3 lab tests that are commonly ordered on patients with a personal or familial history of cardiovascular disease. So one of them is the CRP, or C-reactive protein. And this is one of the body's immune mediators. When blood cells are damaged or tissue is damaged, whether by infection or injury, these tissues release biochemical agents that have diverse roles to help deal with the damage. So when CRP levels are high in your bloodstream, it shows you have an inflammatory condition. All right. The other one is your homocysteine levels. Now, homocysteine is something you would find in blood work, and they are different types of amino acids. The homocysteine is a type of amino acid that's commonly found in the body, and it has to do with B6, B12, and folic acid are used to convert homocysteine into other metabolites. So knowing your homocysteine levels is very important also, and how well your body metabolizes it can show how healthy you are as far as your metabolism goes. And a third biological marker for assessing cardiovascular health is vitamin D levels. Low levels of vitamin D have been linked with increased risk of hypertension and heart failure. Vitamin D is a hormone that can be produced from exposing our skin to the sun, as well as through eating foods high in vitamin D, such as salmon, sardines, egg yolks, and beef liver. Ugh. However, that's why it's a good idea to just take vitamin D orally. That's why most doctors are recommending it now. So those are the 3 things to help with heart disease. Your high sensitive C-reactive protein, which is found in blood work, your homocysteine levels, how your body is metabolizing the homocysteine, and also your vitamin D levels. If they're low, that could be a risk for you. All right. Moving on. So, simple ways. So we're going to go into something which I thought was really great. This is from the Natural Awakenings magazine. Everybody sees it out there. I see it at the Tropical Smoothie. It's called Healthy Living and Healthy Planet. Well, they have an article on doggy dieting, fat doggies, fat dogs. So it's called canine obesity. And it's interesting because what they talk about for your dogs is very similar to what you would deal with as a human. And yet Believe me when I tell you this. They spend more money on dogs than they do on themselves. It's common to take a dog to a vet and drop $300, $600 at a vet. Yet people will not go to a chiropractor or another doctor unless it's covered by insurance because of the copay. But dogs and pets, well, that's a whole nother story. So this is a story about a dog named Leroy. And his dog needs energy to run, chase, and play. And his owner helped him lose 14 pounds. Leroy was adopted last May by Peter, who is a facilities coordinator in Bellevue, Washington. Back then, Leroy, and this is a nice dog. He's a Shiba Inu. Looks like a bulldog. And he weighed, guess this, 56 pounds. Now, this is a dog that would look like a lap dog at 56 pounds. He was really obese. He was twice the recommended weight. Well, Peter went on a mission to get his dog healthy, and he found a holistic veterinarian or a vet to provide an integrative support plan to remove him from danger. Overweight dogs are at risk for joint problems, cancer, diabetes, kidney disease, among others, as people are too. According to a 2018 survey by the Association for Pet Obesity Prevention, 55% of dogs, about 50 million in the U.S., are either overweight or obese. That's half of our dogs. And what you can tell is they report that most of the owners of these dogs don't even realize or are in denial of the fact that their dog is overweight or obese. So how do you determine appropriate weight on your dog? A dog that is a perfect weight, and this is true, you can feel the ribs, but you can't see them. So when you reach down and feed the side, you feel the ribs, but when you look at them, you don't see them. And you have an abdominal tuck when you look from the side. From above right in front of the hips, you can see the waistline, said Leroy's veterinarian, Jackie Sheen, in Mercer Island, Washington. She points out that the dog must be touched to feel the amount of fat, especially in dogs with long hair. This evaluation can be done at home using the online body at Pet Obesity Prevention Club. Also has a weight chart for dozens of breeds that can help determine an initial goal weight, although ideal weight can vary among individual dogs. Now, I checked my dogs for this weight issue, and believe it or not, they both, I think, are overweight. And they're shifties. They exercise a lot. I control their diet with really good food. But obviously, they're not exercising enough because they're both becoming a bit overweight. And when I check them, I can't really feel the ribs on the male. I can on Max, I can, but on Dixie, the girl, she carries a lot more weight than he does, and she eats his food. So I have to feed him separately. But when it comes to competing for food, Dixie wins every time, and you can see it in her being overweight. So what do we do if we find out our dog is overweight? So again, the best way to do is feel it. You shouldn't see the ribs. You should be able to feel the ribs. But when you feel them and you can't feel the ribs, there's fat over it. That tells you there's a good chance they're probably obese. So as far as dog diets, there was another woman who took a morbidly obese 13-year-old chocolate Labrador, and under her care, the pet went from 108 to 81 pounds within the 9 months. It took 9 months for the dog to go from 108 to 81. So that's 30 pounds. He was an older dog and overweight. And she said the first thing we did was start him on a joint supplement with turmeric and a prescription diet food. In the beginning, I withheld some of his food and used it as treats throughout the day. Try doing that with your husband. Withhold a little food and then give him treats throughout the day. Yeah, Evan's laughing, but I'll tell you, my wife, God bless her, she treats me like the dog. I get small portions, and when I want, she won't put it all on the plate in one shot, and then she gives me treats throughout the day. And I don't even know she's doing it. She's concerned about my weight. And basically every 4 to 6 weeks, she decreased his food intake, knocked it down a notch. She also divided up portions to feed him 4 times per day to help him feel full. Portion control is important, agrees the doctor. Leroy has a habit of wanting to eat more, just like your husband. And he has a hard time knowing how much food he really needs. But the problem isn't just eating too much. Pet owners are often feeding them the wrong foods. Sounds like a human experience to me. That's why I'm bringing this up. It is the quality sometimes more than the quantity. Do you hear that? It's the quality of the food you give your animal more than how much food. Health doesn't come from processed food. Adding that most dry kibble, dry food, is essentially overprocessed junk food that lacks nutrients and contains fillers. Now, I've known that for a long time. Those doggy chows, those kibbles, they call them kibbles, processed food, dry, overprocessed, that lacks nutrients and contains fillers. Now, they'll argue with that and say that it's full of nutrients and fortified, but these are dogs. These are animals that are used to eating meat and bones, and they feel comfortable when they're chewing. That's what causes them to reduce stress. Fortunately, there's some solutions. There's refrigerated and frozen dog food has made it easier to feed your dog organic, fresh, nutritionally balanced raw food, which is based on a dog's ancestral diet. Look at where they came from. Raw food is also available dehydrated. To give them treats, if included, should satisfy the chewing instinct without adding many calories. Shen recommends dehydrated chicken or duck feet, tendons, poor ducks, and healthy jerkies. Duck feet. That just doesn't sound good to me. Switching to a raw diet helped with Leroy's weight, but I had no idea it would have so many other benefits. I noticed that his coat was getting a lot softer and he smelled a lot better. So that is like, maybe we should try this with our loved ones. Cutting out the processed food, giving them smaller amounts, feeding them 4 times a day so they stay full, and giving them things to chew on, like raw duck feet, tendons, healthy jerkies. But, it makes a lot of sense. And you also want to ease into exercise. So the overweight lab sounded like an elephant falling when he laid down. How many of us have someone in our lives who, when they go to sit down, is like, come on, you hear this? Oh, they groan and they moan and they hear them turning in bed. And she said the dog sounded like an elephant falling when he lay down, and he couldn't stand for very long. And these are the people you see driving back and forth, looking for that parking spot right up front by the door, because they can't walk very far. Instead, exercise can overburden the heart and joints of an obese dog or an obese person. At first, Leroy and Bruce both had a hard time just getting up off the floor. So losing weight first was crucial. So this is a good test for you. If you were to sit down on the floor without something to hold on to, could you get up? Or do you have to hold on to something to climb yourself, to crawl up? I had a client, a patient of mine who was in chiropractic, and he was over 280 to 300 pounds. He was in his 60s, big belly, and he was doing gardening, and he fell while he was gardening outside. He lived in Gainesville, and he couldn't get up because he had nothing to hold on to pull himself up. And he was in the garden for over 2 hours until the mailman came and he yelled for help. And the mailman heard him and was able to help him get up. It's not because he was weak. It had a lot to do with he was carrying so much weight around that, again, a water bottle, a 5-gallon water jug weighs 48 pounds. So he had 2 of them on him. So as weight becomes so losing weight is crucial for a lot of you out there, including the dogs. As the weight began to come off, these dogs, they both became more engaged and their stamina slowly increased. One of the dogs started by walking around in the backyard and letting Bruce follow. Their initial walks were to the end of the block. They would stop and rest before going back home. And the owner said, as he lost weight and his strength improved, our walks got longer, he said. Weight loss must be a healthy process. Breaking down excess fat takes time. Adding that losing too fast results in muscle loss in dogs and humans. Patience and time are key. And then he says, I think Bruce just needed less food and someone that wanted to do things with him. And Hensel has adopted Bruce as her forever foster dog. Boy, there isn't a lot of analogies in life for us there. The fact that we're getting heavier and fatter and more overweight, that, in the dog population, it's half of them, about 50 million. In the human population, it's almost 80%. And, we have to start out slow. We're unhealthy. If you're carrying a lot of body fat around, you are very unhealthy, and you can't just expect to go ride the tandem bicycle all the way over the bridges and back, and you're morbidly overweight. You'll die. Or you won't continue it if you make it through the day. And yet we need somebody to help us. The dogs really living in the natural world, if they were out running and gunning and, running, looking for food and traveling with the pack, they'd all probably be pretty thin. But because now they're being raised domestically by us, and we look at them and they say, oh, he looks hungry. Oh, look at him. He's look, they're always hungry. Well, yeah, that's what dogs do. But, you're overfeeding them. And if you are feeding them kibble, dry food, you're probably not giving them very good nutrition. Now, the pet manufacturers will deny that, but just like they do, just like the human food manufacturers deny that their Kellogg's and their Pop-Tarts and their breads are healthy for us. I think we know better than that today. So also it has to do with quality, eating the right foods, fresh vegetables, fresh proteins. The quantity, how much you eat per day is very important. If you want to lose weight, you got to eat less. And the other part that's important is frequency, how often you eat. If you don't eat every 4 or 5 hours, then you're hungry and you'll suffer muscle loss. It says right here. So this is in the Natural Awakenings, and this was the March 2021 edition. So this is still available if you want to pick it up. It's called Canine Obesity, and it is a great analogy of what we need to do to stay thin and to take care of those we love. All right. And we move on. So I had a few questions, and one of them are the reasons why you might want to think about getting some help if you're struggling with weight or your energy levels, and you think that possibly you want some help to get rid of some of those pounds, and you want to do it fast, and you want to do it quick, and you want to guarantee. That's what we provide. At the Slim Body Laser Spa, if you've been frustrated before and have failed at weight loss, which I did until I found my FDA cleared lipo laser, this could be an answer for you, as it was for me, and it has been for thousands of people here in the area. You can get high speed, high definition, faster than ever, weight loss and body sculpting by signing up for my ultimate laser assisted weight loss program. We're located in Stewart on East Ocean Boulevard across from the Fresh Market. And the phone number is 772-223-5885. Or you can just go on your little phone and say Dr. Tread Slim Body, and Siri will come up and give you my phone number. It's pretty easy these days. You don't have to text and drive. You can just talk. So these are what have come up to me as one of the 5 most important reasons to think about calling the Slim Body Laser Spa and schedule a free consultation and try my unique laser-assisted weight loss system. So the first one is that you are overweight. Man, if you're overweight 20 to 30 pounds and you need to diet and exercise. Now, if you're over 50, diet and exercise is a lot harder than it is before you're 50. So yes, my business is full of people over 50. If you're young, you're probably just eating too much and not exercising. But if you're older and you're struggling with weight loss and body fat, it could be a hormonal component. It could be aging. Maybe you hurt your neck or your back and you can't exercise anymore. Maybe you're, living your life is involved around food. You just moved from up north and you finally retired, and now you're going and playing golf and spending a lot of time with your friends at Sailor's Return and at the Bonefish, and and having people come over for food, and now your life's evolving around food. You might need help, especially if you're 20 or 30 pounds overweight. Besides the fact that you could die young, you're at a risk of developing all kinds of problems. Vascular disease, type 2 diabetes, stroke, painful joints, inflammatory conditions, and thanks to COVID, you're at a huge risk of dying from COVID if you were to get COVID and you're overweight. It's one of the top 5 risks for COVID is too much body fat, which is why I think everybody's out running the bridge these days. I give them a lot of credit. Number 2 reason, you've lost weight in the past, but you've gained it back, and now it's been more difficult than ever to lose the weight. This is because your hormones have changed from the weight loss and the weight gain, and they are fighting you to keep the weight on. I have remedies for that. Give us a call. Number 3, you've been told that you have a slow metabolism and cannot lose weight. I hear that all the time. Metabolism is really based on the food you're eating, how much you exercise, and your willingness, your age. Not so much your age as your willingness. We can change metabolism in several weeks. We can boost your metabolism just by teaching you about food intake and not skipping meals. Number 4 reason to call Slim Body Laser Spa. You've plateaued in your weight loss, and no matter how many exercises you do or how few calories you consume, you cannot budge the needle or the scale anymore. Your body stores calories in 2 separate areas, the visceral fat surround your organs and the subcutaneous fat, which is on the outside. And what happens is visceral fat responds to diet and exercise, which is what most people are doing. Subcutaneous fat, when you're over 50, has a hormonal component to it. And since there's a hormonal change, eating less and exercising doesn't change it as readily as something like the laser lipo or liposuction or some of these other techniques, which I do not recommend because they can hurt you. And so my lipo laser targets subcutaneous fat and will actually melt away those inches that you've not been able to reduce using diet and exercise alone. Here's number 5 reason to come into the Slim Body Laser Spa. You want to get rid of your stubborn fat so badly that you've been considering some surgical procedure like liposuction or even freezing your fat. Why would you freeze any part of your gorgeous, lovely body? I remember as a kid, I grew up in Long Island, New York, and my mom told me before I was 10 years old that if you get stuck in the snow and your boot comes off and you got to call somebody because you could have frostbite and your toe will turn black and they'll cut it off, she told me. And let me tell you, I did not. I had pulled my shoe out of the boot in a snow pile down in Long Island, and I went to the gas station and told them it happened, and they called my mom because she told me that. Yet we have a procedure now that grabs a chunk of your fat, freezes it, and then releases it, and then you got to absorb the dead tissue, and you don't think it could hurt you? I don't know about that. So, if you're interested, you give us a call. We're located on East Ocean Boulevard next to the Carmela's Pizza. My name is Dr. Tred Rissacker. It is a slim body laser spa, and we're there to help you. Free consultations. Just give us a call. You'll be there about 30 minutes, and we can determine if we can help you with your problem. I'll see you soon, okay? Thanks for tuning in. God bless, and bye-bye. Stay safe.